Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. It is so good to see all of you fine folks this morning. I'd say morning, but I'm not sure night has fully vacated. Well, that is about that time of day whenever you're never sure. Good morning, y'all. All y'all nuts. So good to see you, JW. I hope you're having a wonderful morning this morning. Wicked Wookie, who's nuts? Who's nuts? Everyone's nuts. Good morning to all, Cynthia. You wonderful firefighter. You. It is so good to see you. Good morning, Wiki Wookie. Wicked Wookie. Wicked Wookie. Time for a wizard. Good morning, JW. Again. And Ingrid Medlock. Good morning, everybody. That is wonderful to see you. And forever, not me. Good to see you. Good morning. Glad you guys could make it in this morning. This is gonna be a very interesting week. It is. Oh, you're on the West Coasties? Whoa, buddy. I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Yeah, we are here. It is gonna be a very interesting week nonetheless. We've got all kinds of crazy news to talk about. We've got We've got leaks, we've got destruction, we've got death, we've got AP has like election stuff going on, and they're telling us that the people need to make an informed decision about the health of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. That's their concern. Wonderful. We gotta love that stuff. Good morning, Captain Kern. Good to see you. Glad you could make it in. It is, it is, it is another beautiful day. It is going to be hot and hot all day today, which will, lead to people doing really stupid things by getting getting not enough moisture in their body. Hey, it's the totally non-scripted debate. Yeah, totally non-scripted, totally non-edited. It's going to be wonderful. Oh boy, I'll tell you, we just have to laugh at all of this. It is going to be a fun one. Now, what may happen because of time constraints and time scheduling and everything, I may not be able to watch it live, but it won't be live anyway, so it won't really matter. But this morning will be it's very possible this morning will be the last of my morning streams for just a short period of time, probably until after the weekend. I've got family in town, and it's going to be really hard for me to not wake up half the world. So, and the last thing you want to be doing is waking up some small children 6:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, whenever I would be down here getting everything lined up for my morning Whiz and Coffee. So with that being said, oh boy, that is the price you pay for having the children. It won't be scripted, but it will be cut up and made to make Trump look horrible. No, I think only Trump can make Trump look horrible. I agree with you though. It will be probably cut and edited. More than likely they'll have both their policy makers in there. That's, as much as I would like to say, yeah, they'll probably make Trump look horrible. I think the only thing Trump look horrible is Trump himself. The potty break debate. I love it. I love it. Well, that's the beauty of it. That is the beauty of it is they can't really film, what's his name, Biden, just doing lines off of strippers' asses. But hey, that's the way it goes. You can only show so much to keep the old man awake. Won't be surprised if he does it remotely as well. He is a little bit remote. But WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange will plead guilty in a deal with the US and be freed from prison. Wow. So the Washington AP Leaks founder Julian Assange will plead guilty to a felony charge in a deal with the US Justice Department that will allow him to walk free and resolve a long-running legal saga that spanned multiple continents and centered on the publication of a trove of classified documents. What was that trove of classified documents? Well, it was letting the world know that they're spying on you, among other things. Oh my god, it is insane. It is insane. It is uh, it is crazy. There was a 18 count superseding indictment. He's currently in London. There were fear among media advocates that Assange's actions, including soliciting and publishing classified information, are indistinguishable from what journalists do on a daily basis. So this right here is what I'm reading from. The those concerns led to the Obama administration Justice Department to talk at bringing charges for similar conduct. Assange's lawyer, Barry Pollock, said Thursday that the unprecedented charges against his client imperil all journalists in their endeavor to inform the public about actions that have been taken by the U.S. government. So just imagine they're putting the fear into journalists. This is why they don't talk about the coup truthfully. This is the reason they don't give you the news truthfully is they are scared that what they uncover can be used against them. Hillary's emails, that too. Oh, there was so many different things that were brought in that they didn't talk about. It is absolutely horrible that we have to be beholden to our government, and our government's not beholden to us. Assange left a British prison on Monday, will appear later this week in the U.S. federal court in the Northern Mariana Islands. Oh, it's a U.S. Commonwealth in the U.S. in the Western Pacific. Wonderful. Another one of those commonwealths. He's expected to plead guilty to an Espionage Act charge of conspiracy to unlawfully obtain and disseminate classified national defense information, the Justice Department said in a letter filed in court. The guilty plea, which must be approved by a judge, brings an abrupt conclusion to a criminal case of international intrigue into the U.S. government's year-long pursuit of a publisher whose hugely popular secret sharing website made him a cause celebrity among many press freedom advocates who said he acted as a journalist to expose U.S. military wrongdoing. Investigators, by contrast, have repeatedly asserted that his action broke laws meant to protect sensitive information and put the country's national security at risk. Well, what investigators? Because exactly. Feel so bad for him if he did. She's old and shriveled now. Translation: How effing dare you expose our criminal acts? That's exactly right. And this had to do with Hillary's criminal acts that were exposed. He is expected to return to his home country of Australia after his plea and sentencing, which is scheduled for Wednesday morning local time in Saipan or Saipan. I don't know. Largest island in the Northern Mariana Islands. The hearing is taking place because of Assange's opposition to traveling to the continental U.S. and the court's proximity to Australia, prosecutors said. I don't blame him. I would not want to set my feet back on the U.S. either, where they would more than likely throw him into prison, and a dark prison where he could never do anything ever again. Attorneys for Assange didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on Monday. In a statement posted on X, WikiLeaks said Assange boarded a plane and departed the United Kingdom on Monday after leaving the British prison, where he has spent the last 5 years. Ooh. WikiLeaks applauded the announcement of the deal, saying it was grateful for all who stood by us, fought for us, and remain utterly committed for the fight for his freedom. WikiLeaks published groundbreaking stories of government corruption and human rights abuses, holding the power accountable for the actions. As editor in chief, Julian paid severely for these principles and for the people's right to know. And now that you know, What are you going to do with it? Well, nothing. We hide that stuff, push it under a rug, keep it quiet as long as we possibly can. The deal ensures Assange will admit guilt while also sparing him from any additional prison time. He spent years hiding out in the Ecuadorian embassy in London after Swedish authorities sought his arrest on graping allegations before being locked up in the United Kingdom. Assange is expected to be sentenced to 5 years. He has already spent in the high security British prison while fighting to avoid extradition to the US to face charges, a process that has played out in a series of hearings in London. Last month, he won the right to appeal an extradition order after his lawyer argued that the US government provided blatantly inadequate assurances that he would have the same free speech protections as an American citizen if extradited from Britain. Assange has been heralded by many around the world as a hero who brought to light military wrongdoings in Iraq and Afghanistan. Among the files published by WikiLeaks was a video of a 2007 Apache helicopter attacked by American forces in Baghdad that killed 11 people, including two Reuters journalists. But his reputation was also tarnished by graping allegations, which he has denied. The Justice Department's indictment unsealed it in 2019. Now, this is because you have to remember this was in 2007. Barack was still president. 2007, 2008, something like that. It was way back. I can't remember the exact date. So you're talking probably what 10 years later. There was an indictment unsealed in 2019. 10 years later. U.S. Assange of encouraging and helping a U.S. Army intelligence analyst, Chelsea Manning, which is not their original name because they had a little choppy, or they just thought they were somebody else. Steal diplomatic cables and military files that WikiLeaks published in 2010. So it was in 2010. Prosecutors had accused Assange of damaging national security by publishing documents that harmed the U.S. and its allies and aided its adversaries. Prosecutors said in a charging document filed in connection with the plea agreement that Assange conspired with Manny to receive and obtain documents, notes, and other writings related to the national defense and to willfully communicate those records. The document takes care to note that Assange was not a United States citizen, did not possess a U.S. security clearance, and did not have authorization to possess, access, or control documents, writings, or notes relating to the national defense of the United States, including classified information. The case was lambasted by press advocates and Assange supporters. Federal prosecutors defended it as it was targeting conduct that went way beyond that of a journalist gathering information, amounting to an attempt to solicit, steal, and indiscriminately publish classified government documents. It was brought even though the Obama administration Justice Department had passed on prosecuting him years earlier. Yeah, it was federal prosecutors. That's the thing. Federal prosecutors, which means if it was under Obama, then it had to do with Obama. Good morning, Taz. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, remember the Pentagon Papers? Free press is supposed to shine a light on wrongdoings. Exactly. The plea agreement comes months after President Joe Biden said he was considering a request from Australia to drop the U.S. push to prosecute Assange. The White House was not involved in the decision to resolve Assange's case. Okay, that's very clear. The association, the official who was not authorized to speak publicly about the case and spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. Well, here's the thing: they shouldn't be allowed to be anonymous. How's that? If you're going to go after Julian Assange, then this person has no right to be anonymous. Oh, there's freedom of press. Like I said, what's fair for the goose is fair for the gander. Why don't you tell us who your leaker? Oh, that isn't fair now, is it? Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison after being convicted in violating the Espionage Act and other offenses for leaking classified government and military documents to WikiLeaks. Obama commuted his sentence in 2017, allowing his release after about 7 years behind bars. Yeah, imagine that. Commuted the sentence of the person that should, in all sense and purposes, been taken care of. Hell yes, it's a good morning. Volstorm, the man, the myth, the legend. Wonderful. Volstorm, good to see you. Well, the second has a specific purpose too. Glad Vandy stopped beating y'all in baseball. There you go. Oh, Assange made headlines in 2016 after his website published Democrat emails that prosecutors say were stolen by Russian intelligence operatives. Hmm. But we sort of didn't talk about that because this right here happened to be Hillary Clinton. In case you were not sure, this was Hillary Clinton's fall. This is why they never went after Hillary. Of course, he was never charged in special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation, but the inquiry laid bare in stark detail the role of the hacking operation played in interfering in that year's election on behalf of Donald Trump. That was proven false. See, this right here was proven false. This right here was proven true. But you notice they don't talk about Hillary Clinton's emails showing that they were on an off-site server, that there were quite a few people at that time that knew about it, and they burned all the documents. Justice Department officials mulled charges for Assange following the document's 2010 publication, but were unsure a case would hold up in court and were concerned it would be hard to justify prosecuting him for acts similar to those of a conventional journalist. Posture changed in the Trump administration, however, with former Attorney General Jeff Sessions in 2017 calling Assange's arrest a priority. Now, this was Jeff Sessions. That was not Trump. That was just people in that were close to him. Assange's family and supporters have said his physical and mental health have suffered during more than a decade of legal battles, which includes 7 years spent inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Assange took refuge in 2012 and was granted political asylum after courts in England ruled he should be extradited to Sweden as part of a gaping investigation in the Scandinavian country. That right there, I have no idea if that is true or not. If it is true, then he should be held accountable for it. But if it is not, then that was just them trying to get him out of the country, trying to get him to Sweden to give him even worse of a time. His arrest by British police after this withdrew his asylum status in 2019 and then jailed for skipping bail when he first took shelter inside the embassy. Although Sweden eventually dropped its investigation because so much time had elapsed. Assange has remained in London's high security Belmarsh prison during the extradition battle with the U.S. And of course, Tucker, he reported from Fort Pierce, Florida. Associated Press writer Colleen Long in Washington contributed to this report. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing that they would go after this? So, in case you haven't seen this next one, oof, man, more rain possible in deluged Midwest after as flooding goes to causes water to surge around the dam. And Dakota. We talked about this yesterday. There's water. You know, this water has to flow somewhere. Guess where it flows? It flows into the ocean. Look at how many gallons this is. It's going to raise the water level of the ocean by mm, very little because the heat evaporates it off, and guess what? It just goes back to other places. Really weird how weather works. Something I learned in what fifth grade math about how water will flow into the ocean. The ocean heats up. Water evaporates from the ocean, gets gathered up into clouds, goes to other places, and drops that rain. It's really odd how that happens. More storms are possible in parts of the deluge Midwest, where flooding after days of heavy rains has killed at least two people. Sent a river surging around a dam. Well, yeah, because they probably didn't release enough water out of the dam, and it has to go somewhere. That is the way that water works. It will flow downhill. Never known water to flow uphill. Tends to always go towards the lowest point, maybe because of its weight. I don't know. But you would think that we're on a globe spinning, it's spinning like this because it's flat, like a big pancake, and it's just slinging water off everywhere. Pretty soon we'll be all dried out. Severe storms were forecast on for Tuesday afternoon, evening with large hail, damaging winds. Flooding in those states has also come during a vast, stubborn heat wave. Some communities hit by flooding were under an excessive heat warming Monday with temperatures approaching 100 degrees. Dangerous, hot, muggy weather is expected again Tuesday around the Omaha area. More than 3 million people live in areas touched by flooding from Omaha, Nebraska to St. Paul, Minnesota. Storms dumped a huge amount of rain from Thursday through Saturday, as much as 18 inches falling south of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, according to the National Weather Services. Crazy. It's crazy. Places that didn't get as much rain had been content to the extra water moving downstream. Many streams, especially with additional rainfall, may not crest until later this week as floodwaters slowly drain down a web of rivers to the Missouri and Mississippi. The Missouri will crest on Omaha on Thursday, said Kevin Lowe, a weather service hydrologist. At least one person died in South Dakota, Christy Nome said without providing the details. I have never had to evacuate my house, said Hank. What's the highest spot in town? But what good is that when the rest of the town is flooded? It makes me nervous. It's what happens whenever water flows downhill and you're near a river. Same way as if you're near the ocean, you can expect you're going to get a storm that's probably going to flood your house at some point in time. you're, if you're in the Gulf, more than likely you're going to deal with a hurricane or a tornado or hurricane force winds at some point in time. This is just the way that it goes. I'm shocked about Sweden dropping their investigation. Usually to get away with graping in Sweden, your name has to start with the letter M and end with the letter D. As a dog fan, I want to begrudgingly accept your victory. Well, absolutely, and you can do nothing more than that. Absolutely, as a dogs fan, also, you have to give love where love is deserved, and just because Volstorm is from Tennessee doesn't mean that we won't let him be Volstorm. So don't you pick on him? Don't you pick on that man? Well, I just keep thinking about all this stuff I've lost. Maybe the little things I could recover that we put up high. Says Aiden, the northwestern Iowa community of Spencer, which imposed curfews during flooding that surpassed a record set over the weekend. Teams from Iowa Natural Resources, and I mean, my thoughts and hopes are with you, fine folks, right there, because this got to suck. 7,000 square feet of very pretty things, and it's all gone. All President Joe Biden has been briefed by Homeland Security team. What does Homeland Security team have to do with flooding? You would think that the EPA would have more to say about flooding, being that they're all up in your shit about, plastic straws. But yes, this sucks for everyone, fires, floods, the end of times. Oh my gosh. The world is just one horrible place. Oh my gosh. Everything's going to happen. Everything's going to happen all at once. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. It is going to be one of those. What the hell? Weird. What is that? Okay. So that's all right. All right. That makes no sense. All right. So we got the rains out of the way. Bought the rains down in Africa. So I'm gonna cover something that's probably gonna be disturbing. So I'm giving you the warning ahead of time. This will be disturbing. And I'm gonna say things that people aren't gonna like, most likely. And it's probably gonna get me in trouble on YouTube, most likely. But it's news, and that's what I'm talking about. So, YouTube, if you're listening, get your fingers off the button. This is this is covering the news. Stop yellowing my channel out, you bastards. It's the news. You don't like it, then don't write it. I'm not glorifying it, but I will give some explanation to this because this right here, someone was deleted in 1.6 seconds. Video raises questions about how a trooper avoided charges in a black man's death. Okay. Now, after reading through this, which I wanted to make sure that it was um, somewhat safe for everyone, I'm going to leave you with two two thoughts to keep in mind. Okay. And I know these I know these things because I'm a mechanic, and you go, well, what does mechanic have to do with this? Okay. Let me explain what being a mechanic has to do with this. Oftentimes, whenever we would have a vehicle, so we didn't have to worry about putting a battery keeper on it. All right, a battery keeper is what you put on a vehicle that basically will keep the computer alive, so that way your radio doesn't reset. And on certain Hondas, it's necessary to have the battery keeper because if not, your radio station like erases everything and people get all upset about it. And then there's other like settings that have to be kept in there. Like your radio code, if you don't know what the radio code is, some of them you have to pull the radio out to actually enable the radio again. So battery keepers are necessary. Now, whenever you've got a shop of 60 people, it's hard to have three battery keepers, especially if you get in the hot summer months where batteries tend to give you all kinds of crap. And so what we would do in lieu of that is we would start the vehicle up and disconnect the battery. And unless they had a bad alternator, now a bad alternator would shut the car down almost immediately because the alternator would keep the battery charged or keep the electrical circuit flowing. And then we'd swap out the battery, put in a new battery, and connect it all back up, and everything would be up and running. I mean, it can do a little bit of sparking, but that's how that works. The alternator will keep the car running. So if you're ever driving your vehicle and you've got a bad alternator, what'll happen is it'll dim your lights. Car eventually will shut down. And hey, thanks, Taz. Wanted to wish you a fantastic day. Well, with this $2 super chat gives you an opportunity to have a song. You know that, right? That's what I've got those super chats set up for. And thank you very much for the $2 well wish. Awesome. I appreciate it. So if you're a radio enabler, I'm not going to shame you for enabling radios, but if you keep enabling radios, they will never, ever stop. It's absolutely true. Okay. Now you have to keep this in mind that unless there's a bad alternator or something else wrong with the car. Now, if there's something else wrong with the car, such as a bad alternator, a lot of times, not always, because if it's only putting out like say 8 amps or something like that, which is really crappy, because it should be running anywhere between, just depend on the vehicle, usually around 15 amps is where it's putting out. Um, your battery will eventually shut down and your car will stop operating. So you put a new battery in it and then it'll start running again. Now, I'm not going to go into the fine details of it. That just gives you the basics of it. Okay. That gives you the basics of that. All right. So keep that in mind while you're listening to this, because this is the Georgia Department of Public Safety via Ebony, Reed, and Louise Story. Now, this is going to become very important here also. Hmm, losing lights. I don't know why. This is going to become very important also, because this is the Georgia Department of Public Safety, but this is not their video. This is an edited video via Ebony, Reed, and Louise Story. Now you've got these two things in your mind. What does an alternator have to do with Ebony and Louise? Ebony, Reed, and Louise. What does it have to do with it? What is the importance of this? And why? Why, I tell you, is the most important thing, because they're going to say never before released dash cam video and details obtained by the AP are raising questions about the fatal shooting of a black motorist by a Georgia state trooper nearly 4 years ago. This becomes important because there's only one thing that really matters. This guy pulled down a road, pointed down a road, went down the road, and proceeded to, let me get back here because I don't want to hear what this guy has to say at all. It has to do with this right here, going down a gravel road that he just said he was going to pull over on. And then he proceeds to speed up.
5 minutes into a pursuit over a broken tail light, Julian Lewis was dead. Georgia State Trooper Jake Thompson shot Lewis seconds after he forced his car into a ditch.
Listen. Now, in case you didn't hear it, and that was before the pew, what happened is he was driving down the road. The cop put him into a tailspin. What happens whenever, a lot of times what will happen is that will disable a vehicle, which means that the gas tank will shut off the fuel pump. The fuel pump will stop working and your car won't be able to operate. Okay. Now there is a little thing that you can do on certain cars, and I've never had to do it, so I don't know. And it's very particular on certain models of cars that it has a disabler that you can come back and you can re-enable it. Used to be a trick that scam artists would pull, is they would go out to old people's vehicles whenever they pull up in these, I believe it was Toyotas. Whenever they would be in a park, they would see them in a parking lot. What they would do is they would jostle the car and get that fuel pump to disengage. So the car, the old people would come out, they'd try to start their car, they couldn't start it, and then this guy would just happen by and, "Well, you want me to take a look at it?" And of course, the old people would say, "Sure, I have no idea what's going on." "Well, I mean, we can get you a tow truck here." And they're just like, "Well, that's going to take forever." And basically they would just reach in there, they would reset it, and most likely the old people, knowing that it was going to cost about 75 bucks to have their car towed, would just turn around and pay them like 20 or 50 bucks, which was a pretty good scam. If you could do that, 10 of those things an hour, it was pretty cool. Yeah, pit maneuver, thank you. So the only problem with this is, from what I could hear, is that car accelerated. I could hear it right before you heard the pew. Now, I'm not going to play it again, because if you want to hear it again, you just go back and listen to this over and over again, and you'll notice that there's talking over the top of it. Also, this is what they are considering a ditch. Okay. This right here is what they're considering a ditch. This little low spot right here. Okay. this little low spot here, they consider a ditch. If this was a ditch in certain places, that ditch would have come down and done this number, and he would have not been able to get out of that. Okay. Now, he was not maneuvered into the ditch entirely. Thing was, is whenever they found the vehicle, his wheels were turned away from the the officer that had pew-pewed him. Okay. So his wheels were turned away. Now, what'll happen is whenever your vehicle is put into a pit maneuver, if you've ever slid on a gravel road, you steer into your spin. It's something that you learn in driving. So you turn into your spin. So most likely, whenever the cop put him into that pit maneuver, he steered into the spin and he was hitting the gas pedal to get out of there. And whenever he did, the officer was most likely in a position that was going to get him injured. And whenever that happened, he opened fire. It took less than 1.6 seconds for that to happen. And there was a man with a bullet to the chrome dome. And they're wanting to scream racism on this. Why do they want to scream racism on this? Oh, because it just happened to be a black man driving with a broken taillight. Irrigation dishes for the rain runoff. Yeah, that's just a slight bit of a ditch. Yeah, if Wicked Wookie knows what I'm talking about. This is just a slight bit of a ditch. This is not enough to get your car stuck. Not at all. I've driven down roads like this, and this is not enough to get you stuck. Now, if it was heavy rains, most likely your car would get stuck because red Georgia clay, it does that to you. It is a mess. Of course, now we'll go over the story. Julian Lewis did not pull over the Georgia State Patrol, did not pull over for the Georgia State Patrol cruiser, flashing its blue lights behind him on a rural highway. But the officer had turned on his lights, which means that he should have pulled over the side of the road. Now, if he was concerned of the safety of pulling over the side of the road, pulling onto a dirt road right off the highway, right off the road, not a big deal. Police officer doesn't want to fire up his siren. He's not in a pursuit. He's just wanting to pull someone over. More than likely, he sees a broken taillight, or one of his headlights isn't working, or any number of infractions that basically the police officer, most likely, had he pulled him over, would have said, listen, you've got a broken taillight. I'm going to write you a ticket. Get this taken care of. Once you get it taken care of, the ticket will come off of your thing. It also gives them an opportunity to run the plate, see if the car is stolen, or see if somebody's wanted for an arrest. Not hard to do. The only problem was 5 minutes into the pursuit that began over a broken taillight. Why would it be 5 minutes later? So it's 5 minutes into a pursuit. 5 minutes? You know how far I can go in 5 minutes breaking the law? Good morning. Good morning. Hey, old Coots and Cootuses, stop by for another cup of coffee and say howdy. Well, Georgia is loaded with unnamed dirt roads. Ever watch Dukes of Hazzard? Yes, absolutely. So, the trooper sounded his siren. He still didn't stop after pointing a hand out the window and turning into a darkened dirt road. And that's when the Georgia State Patrol officer, I will get my tongue out of my throat here shortly, as the trooper sounded his siren 5 minutes into the pursuit that began over a broken taillight. See, all you had to do, pull over and take your ticket. But this 60-year-old black man was no longer with us. And that was because of his dome by a white trooper. Oh, why does it have to be a white trooper? See, I didn't know that. I didn't even know he was a black man. See, that's what the story wants you to lead you to believe, that as a white trooper, black man, fired a single bullet after mere seconds of forcing Lewis to crash into a ditch. As I showed you the ditch, Jake Thompson insisted he pulled the trigger as Lewis revved the engine of his Nissan Sentra. And jerked his steering wheel as if trying to mow him down. More than likely, he was trying to get out of the spin. Now, this is what we don't see in that short little video clip because they don't show any of this. He says that I had to shoot this man. He could be heard telling the supervisor on a video that was recorded by his dash-mounted camera at the scene of the rural Skevrin County midway between Savannah and Augusta. And I'm just scared. Absolutely. That is not something anybody wants to have to do. Cars aren't lawnmowers. Not guilty. The lost sheep. Got your ears on, 10-4s. But new investigative details obtained by the AP and never before released dashcam video of the August 2020 shooting have raised fresh questions about how the trooper avoided prosecution with nothing more than a signed promise never to work in law enforcement again. Use of force experts who reviewed the footage for AP said the shooting appeared to be unjustified. And this is where I don't have this. I am not this. I am not a use of force expert, but there are use of force experts out there. The person that is claiming to be a use of force expert, I have to question. I have to question them a lot because if this is for, if it's use of force on his defense side, what they would say as somebody that is looking to make a name for themselves. So let's find out. An investigative file obtained by AP offers the most detailed, an investigative file. Investigative file. Now, it doesn't say this was a military or a government or anybody else's file. It's just an investigative file. Sort of like, it'd be comparable to an investigative file that the expert has on me. It's an investigative file. Yeah, he's not a police officer. The only investigative file has what he's gathered, the information he's gathered about me. Has nothing to do with a police officer investigation. This is just an investigative file. Make sure you understand where they're coming from with this because AP likes to mix words up and confuse you. The most detailed account of this case yet, including documents that spell out why Georgia Bureau of Investigation concluded that the 27-year-old trooper's version of events did not match the evidence. Wait, so you said this was an investigative file? Like I said, this was a journalist investigative file. Now, for instance, an inspection of Lewis's car indicated the crash had disconnected the vehicle's battery and rendered it immobile. Did it? Let me explain something else. Batteries have a hold down strap. Okay, on the battery itself, there's a hold down strap. What that strap does is it keeps the battery in place. So whenever you hit a bump or speed bump, it doesn't slam into the top of the hood and short everything out. Okay, so if that hold strap isn't there, if the hold down strap is not there, then most likely, because that would be the only way that it would disconnect the battery. And that means that it would have ripped it loose from its cable. I mean, I've picked up batteries by their cable before because we had one that something broke on it or someone came and cut it, and I was able to pick the battery up by its cables. And it's not uncommon to be able to use a holder that will pick up battery by its posts and hold it. Yeah, you don't want to do that because those posts can rip out and leak battery fluid everywhere. But just saying, you can pick those things up. They're pretty damn sturdy. Now, the other thing about this is if the case was that it did that, more than likely it shorted out something in the system. But most likely, whenever the tow truck driver came to get the car, they disconnected the battery cable and removed it. Okay. That's not uncommon for them to do this. Like I said, you're going to be putting this thing into impound. You don't want to have the battery connected to it because all it takes is for you to walk in there, pop the hood, put the battery cable back on it, start the car up, and then you could drive it off the lot. It's just common practice that they disconnect the battery cable. I know this because I've had plenty of Hondas come in where the tow truck driver disconnects the battery cable. Why would you do that, you bastard? Just disable their whole radio system. Good morning, Tammy Bugard. Good to see you. All right. So this becomes important again. The crash had disconnected, but who did the inspection of Lewis's car? Because this was not the police investigators, because they probably would have said, yeah, that's not normal. That's not abnormal. But the footage of the pursuit has never been made public. It was first obtained by the authors of a new book about race and economic inequality. Wait. So it was authors of a book about race and economic equality. Doesn't it seem a little bit suspicious that these are the people that they're wanting to talk about? Well, let's just look at who these people are, because this becomes really important. These are who they are.
The problem are government policies ultimately, or do you think that it is racism in the workplace or other places, a combination of both? How do you weigh these things?
It is a combination of both, and we show that in the book through historical and also current day practices.
All right. Now you saw how long she got to talk. She got to talk for a grand total. Let's see, we're at 104. She was able to talk for a grand total of 16, 15, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. So yeah, she's able to talk for a grand total of 8 seconds. You want to talk about inequality here? She was able to talk for a grand total 8 seconds.
These things.
Watch.
It is a combination of both, and we show that in the book through historical and also current day practices.
8 seconds.
I think there's also a lack of understanding about wealth. You wouldn't believe how much people confuse wealth with income, even highly educated people. When we talk about this book to them, they say, well, I know the person who looks different from me, who sits next to me at work, is making the same pay, so what's the big deal? And they're not understanding the different circumstances that people are in. And these circumstances are not only what people are born into, but also, inheritance is given out throughout.
Yes, I will say that these people are idiots. So far, I would say white lady here needs to let black lady talk. Just saying. White Karen needs to shut up and let black Karen talk. That's what I think. What does this white lady know about race inequality? There you go. How's that for that? How awful is it that she does not give her any agency? So these are the two that like to race bait. Those are the two ladies that like to race bait this stuff. And so they shared the video, which is edited. And of course, AP verified its authenticity and obtained additional documents under Georgia's open records law. See, the thing is all of those are open to the public. The problem is they edited out quite a bit of information here. Footage does not include visuals of the shooting, which of course didn't happen on the dash cam. It happened outside the camera's view, but it shows the crucial final moments in which Thompson uses a police maneuver to send his car spinning into a ditch. No. Then the trooper cruiser stops parallel to Lewis's vehicle and Thomas barks, voice barks, "Hey, get your hands up." The gunshot rings out before he can finish the warning because you hear the engine revving. This guy just came out shooting and did not give Lewis remotely sufficient time to respond to his order, said Andrew Scott, a former Boca Raton, Florida police chief. Wonder why Andrew Scott is a former Boca Raton, Florida police chief. I wonder what kind of thing he did in Boca. He works for a different company altogether. Witness consultation to police departments. I hate when that happens. Yeah. This is what happens whenever you open up too many damn tabs. It's probably bubbling now and giving me a hard time because that's what happens to my damn stuff whenever I start talking. It starts giving you as a hard times because they do not want to let this kind of stuff out. Oh my gosh. He wrote a dissertation, about police chases. Sounds to me like he's trying to make a name for himself. Pointed to another division. No. This goes beyond a stupid mistake, added Charles Joe Key, a former Baltimore police lieutenant and use of force expert who has consulted on thousands of such cases. Yeah, sounds like another person trying to make a name for themselves. He also took issue over the maneuver to disable Lewis's vehicle, saying that too was unwarranted. And he deemed Thompson's claim that he fired because of the revving engine is total garbage. Wait, my ears deceived me? I'm not in favor of people running from the police, but it doesn't put him in the category of people deserving to be shot by the police. If you're about to be run down by a 2,000-pound plus car, for the love of God, don't let that happen. Thompson was fired and arrested on a murder charge a week after the August 7th, 2020 shooting, which came amid a summer of protests, fiery protests, because police officers were being harassed relentlessly. Why? Because there were a few bad apples in the bunch. And people wanted to take out their frustration on every police officer they possibly could. Instead of weeding out the bad apples, they weeded out all the good apples. And now that's what you've got is more and more bad apples. The trooper was denied bail and spent more than 100 days in jail. But in the end, Thompson walked free without a trial. A state grand jury in 2021 declined to bring an indictment. The district attorney overseeing the case closed it last fall when federal prosecutors also ruled out civil rights charges. These are very important. They had the people look at this that would have been more than happy to bury this guy under the jail. And they all said, nope. So at the same time, the U.S. Department quietly entered a non-prosecution agreement with Thompson. Okay. Why would they do this? Forbidding him to ever work in law enforcement again. A highly unusual deal that brought little solace to Lewis's family. Well, it's not a highly unusual deal. It is common. The two people I'd listen to about this case of use of force are donut operator and Bronca. Yeah. Not, am I saying that he was justified? No, but with the information that I can gather, I would say that if they did their investigation and they came up with nothing, and these federal prosecutors, they are gung-ho about anything that has to do with a black man being shot by a white man. They live for that shit. The state of Georgia paid in 2022 $4.8 million settlement so they could avoid a lawsuit. And that was just so the Lewis family wouldn't go after them and just prolong stuff. And they're just like, this is what you're going to get. And they accepted that. They accepted it. They could have denied it and gone for the lawsuit, but this was, settled by property taxpayers. Absolutely. Good morning, Risa. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Tammy Bogard. Poor Nina is hiding. She's scared. Sorry to hear that. The U.S. Office for Georgia Southern District, which reached the non-prosecution deal with Thompson, declined to discuss it except to say that the Justice Department communicated with the Lewis family consistent with the law and DOJ policy. District Attorney Daphne Toten did not respond to requests for comment. Neither Thompson nor his attorney, Keith Barber, would discuss the case. Curious what Daphne looks like here, because I think I've met her before. Do a quick search on her. Images. Nope, I have not met her before. She is frightening. She has the crazy eye look. Yeah, she is a elected official. They did not respond to requests for comment because Georgia law doesn't require troopers to use body cameras. The dash cam footage is the only video of the pew-pewing. It's a heartbreaking case and sheds light on the complexities and difficulties of Black families face when intersecting with the justice system. Wait, what? Are you saying that our justice system is not fair? That's what it sounds like to me. Of course, Reed is a former AP journalist and one of the authors who first obtained the footage. Oh, wait, you're telling me that Reed had a lot to say about this because she wrote a book, 15 Cents on the Dollar, How Americans Made Black and White Wealth Gap. That's her book, co-written with Louise Story. Well, Ebony Reed, you just happen to be a former journalist for the AP. Oh, and you edited out footage. Lewis worked odd jobs as a carpenter, and we're talking about the guy that was pew-pewed. As a carpenter and handyman, he helped out. He helped even put a new roof and siding on a local church, relatives said. He repaired plumbing and electrical wiring in people's homes. He would often charge friends and family only for the materials. How nice. He was just a good, kind-hearted person, said Tonya Moore, one of Lewis's sisters. Everybody has flaws. Yes, everybody has flaws. One of my flaws is that I need to get some coffees. So we're going to take a short break. I'm going to grab another cup of coffee. You guys enjoy. I'll be right back.
Morning sun, it's a brand new day. Gotta shake the sleep, gotta find my way to the kitchen where the coffee's hot. Take a little break, give it all I got. Rise and brew, yeah, rise and brew. Wanna get my cup and start anew. Rise and brew, yeah, rise and brew. Take a little break is what I gotta do. Stepping out of bed, feel the reggae gotta get the coffee. Start a brand new day. Whiz, get up, it's time to ride. Whiz and Coffee, sweet harmony. Down in the kitchen, beans are on the line. Whiz is humming to the streaming time. The aromas rising, filling up the air. Cup of Java magic takes away the care. Whiz away the care. Rise and brew, yeah, rise and brew. Gonna get my cup and start anew. Rise and brew, yeah, rise and brew. Take a little break is what I gotta do. The sun is shining, so Whiz is dancing with his coffee cup. In the morning sunlight, he's lifting up with every sip and every funky beat. Whiz is ready to take on any feat. Whiz, get ready to take on any feat. Rise and brew, yeah, rise and brew. Gonna get my cup and start anew. Rise and brew, yeah, rise and brew. Take a little break is what I gotta do. Whiz and Coffee, sweet harmony.
My balls are tickling. Yeah, my balls are tickling.
Oh my, Taz, I'm sorry. I just got this. Prayers needed for the Oakland County, Michigan Sheriff's deputy that was killed yesterday, and for his family. Deepest condolences and lots of prayers. Most definitely, Taz. Sorry, I just now saw this. I'm so sorry to hear that. Man, that is rough. That is rough. What? Yes, Taz prayers. Most definitely. Good to see you, Star Z and Risa. Wonderful, wonderful morning. Now, as we were talking about this, him working odd jobs, he was a good, kind person, and everybody has flaws. And what were Mr. Lewis's flaws? Well, he struggled with drugs and alcohol. He served prison time for cocaine possession and multiple DUI violations. After the shooting, blood tests found alcohol, cocaine, and methamphetamine in his system. Thompson, who policed Georgia highways for 6 years before this shooting, was described in a performance evaluation as hardworking and aggressive. He led his post in DUI arrests. According to his personnel file, he preferred working nights to improve his chances of catching drunk drivers. Days after the shooting, Thompson told GBI investigators he used the tactical pit maneuver to end the chase, which he estimated reached top speeds of 65 miles an hour on a dirt road. That's pretty damn fast. Out of concern that the pursuit was approaching more populated area, he acted right after Lewis's car rolled without stopping through an intersection with a stop sign. Oh, they didn't show you that on the video either. Thompson said after getting out of his cruiser beside Lewis's car in the ditch, he heard the Nissan engine revving at a high rate of speed, which means that he was trying to get that car moving again. It appeared to me that the violator was trying to use his vehicle to injure me. Yeah, I understand that. Thompson said in an audio recording of the GBI interview obtained by the AP, he said he fired in fear of his life and safety. On the dashcam footage, a brief noise resembling a revving engine can be heard just before Thompson shouts a warning and fires. Less than 2 minutes later, the trooper can be heard saying, "Jesus Christ, he almost ran over me." According to the GBI case file, Thompson fired facing the open driver's window side of Lewis's car less than 10 feet away. Agents at the scene found Lewis's front tires pointing away from the trooper's cruiser, which would mean that he was in a spin and he was trying to right his car. Which, if anybody's ever been on a gravel road, he was found basically not guilty. They didn't pull. A federal grand jury refused to charge him in this. So the prosecutor did not prove their case to a grand jury for them to even start a court case. So he struck a deal and said he would never work in law enforcement again. More than likely because he would have people coming at him. And I would have chose that same path myself. Like I said, good police officers you'll lose, bad ones are what they keep in there. Raising the hood, they discovered that the battery had tipped onto its side after the mounting broke. Okay, that explains it. One of the battery cables had been pulled loose. That explains something else. So, if that battery had tipped over, that means there's going to be battery acid, most likely, on components. Another thing to note is that if it tipped over, it shorted something out in the system. Hi, how are you? Good to see you, King Paco. Blue line rules. And the engine's air filter housing had partially opened. Okay. I've seen this happen before. Investigators later performed a field test. What investigators performed the field test? Because on Lewis's car, in which they connected the battery and started the engine. Okay. Now, this is also where I talked about how batteries operate. The agent disconnected one of the cables from the battery. The car's engine immediately stopped. Likewise, opening the air filter cover caused the engine to die. Yes. But you have to do it in a certain way for it to open. Now, if it tipped over the car, if it was already running and revving, would have continued to run. Now, if the battery caused the engine to die from the disconnection, they would have had to have a mechanic there to actually show you why that happened. And you would have done an investigation on why that happened. It's sort of like the same way as you troubleshoot. Like I said, most likely it shorted out something in the system. And so if you do remove the battery cable, it will die because the alternator will keep it running. Show me how they did this and who the investigator was, because it doesn't sound to me that it was the GBI that performed this, but they give you that assumption of that's who did this. Because grand jury proceedings are generally secret, it is unknown why the panel declined to indict Thompson in June of 2021. Georgia affords law enforcement officers the chance to defend themselves before a grand jury, a privilege not given to any other defendants. Toten, the district attorney, decided not to try again, saying in a September 28th letter to the GBI that there has been no new evidence developed in this case. It's sort of like beating a dead horse. You don't continue to do it, hoping for a different outcome, unlike what they'll do in other states, hoping that a different grand jury will go after them. They just said, we're done. For Bacon, Lewis's son, the lack of charges is an open wound. Really? What about that $4.8 million, almost $5 million that you were given? He worries no one will remember what happened given the passage of almost 4 years and the number of others killed by police under questionable circumstances. Yes, if there's questionable circumstances, those officers will face the same scrutiny. It's hard for anybody to even reach back that far, especially if they didn't hear about it initially. But these issues haven't gone away. What? That your father was drunk and high on coke and methamphetamines? And ran from the police and then tried to run down a police officer? Yeah, those things don't go away. He was found, he was not charged, and that was it. Oh, I didn't say I trust the police. I'm just telling you what happened in this case. You watch too many law tubers to trust the police anymore. You don't have to trust the police. Never said you had to. But you also shouldn't break the freaking law or run from the police. You don't have to trust them. But trying to evade the police is just going to do nothing but cause more problems. And that's what happened in this case. And then tried to run down a police officer. A police officer opened fire. And that is when the man lost his life. It's unfortunate. It's horrible. It's not what anybody wants to have happen. All he would have had to do, plain and simple, police officer put his lights on, pull off to the side of the road. He signaled that he was pulling off on a gravel road. All he had to do was just pull over. Pull over, go to jail for driving under the influence. He would have gotten a DUI. He would have gone to jail for a period of time. If it was if he had multiple offenses, he might have gone away a little bit longer. Most car batteries are sealed, but yes, you can still have leaking of fluids, especially if it was enough to disconnect the battery cable from it and to break a mount, the battery would have been leaking. Yes. Take a battery and drop it from about waist height. Or just get a battery going at about 60 miles an hour. Get a battery going at about 60 miles an hour against a wall and tell me how the battery doesn't stop leaking. Yeah, I'm not trying to be difficult. I understand that just because this man lost his life, and because it makes it even more suspicious when you've got it coming on the part of these two folks right here, Louise Story and Ebony Reed, that are doing nothing but race grifting and trying to stir up more problems between black communities and white communities. Basically by saying that Americans made black and white wealth gap. I mean, it's nothing but race baiting. And if the story is coming from these two, I question it. Because this is not what should be happening. Should not be happening. They should not be these kind of people at all. Like, if you wanted to get an unbiased report on this, then they should have gotten somebody that was unbiased and not any part of this. That's not what they did. They decided to go whole hog on this. Well, enough of that. As I sent Shizzy on Discord an article that indicates they've arrested 3 suspects in the killing of Bradley Reckling. Also a link to a GoFundMe for Brad's widow, Jacqueline, and their 3 daughters. Well, thank you very much, Maximura. It's good to see you on top of that. I will pull this up right here, the site, and I will bring this up for you guys to see. It was this right here. 3 in custody after a Oakland County deputy was shot to death in Detroit. Police caught 3 suspects shortly after an Oakland County Sheriff's deputy was fatally shot Saturday night during a stolen vehicle investigation. Deputy Brad Reckling, a 9-year veteran of the force, was part of the office's stolen vehicle unit. They were called in after a 2022 Chevrolet Equinox was stolen from Red Oaks Water Park in Madison Heights earlier in the day. Reckling was behind the stolen Equinox in the sector of Schroer Park Rose Streets on Detroit's east side around 10:50 p.m. when the vehicle suddenly stopped and people got out. The suspects started shooting, hitting Reckling in the head and the chest. 2 other detectives who were nearby in their own vehicle were not hit. It was an ambush, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard said. The sheriff said, Detroit police and Michigan State Police quickly responded to the area and set up a perimeter to catch 3 people. The suspects have not been identified. During a press conference Sunday, Bouchard thanked Detroit Police and MSP, adding that the DCPD Chief James White called him in within minutes of the shooting. White released a statement later in the day offering condolences to those who knew Reckling, who was a father of 3 with another child on the way. The sheriff's office created Mission Oakland to raise funds for the family. All proceeds will be donated to them. It's crushing. You will never anticipate losing a loved one of this magnitude, Bouchard said. We don't have a total yet, but what we're trying to do is fill the financial hole that is created for the family. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office is even working with various organizations to try and handle the family's mortgage and set aside money for the children, the sheriff said. The community is also rallying around the family, providing assistance in other ways. A landscape company offered to take care of the house for a period of time to take that burden off. We've got some different folks that have offered a cooking cycle for the family. The investigation is ongoing. It's heartbreaking. But they do have 3 people in custody after this. Now, what do you think will happen with these 3 people? Have you seen that lion factory burn in South Korea? 22 dead. Yeah, the lithium ion battery. Yeah, I talked about that. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Thank you very much, Maximura, for that. Whole hog from the snooty to the booty. Jeez. That's really heartbreaking. I've stopped posting. If you're welcome to go look this up if you're wanting to donate to them, but I've stopped promoting any sort of donations or charities, and I won't be doing any charity streams. It can end you in a lot of damn scared the hell out of me. Had a pen fall off my desk, scared the crap out of me. Made me jump. Whoa. Damn. No, I won't be doing any charity streams because you can get in trouble on the YouTubes for that, unless you state it as such. So I don't want to have to deal with those kinds of things. But if you're looking to donate or something like that, that's up to you to go search that information out. I just don't promote it anymore. Prevents us from knowing about all the fires and 2 food truck buildings are falling down. Yeah, it's crazy. So here's what we got. This right here. In one affluent Atlanta suburb, Biden and Trump worked to win over wary Georgia voters. Okay, so what's this all about? In Fayetteville? President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump will meet their first general election debate Thursday in Georgia, the battleground that yielded the closest 2020 margin of any state and became the epicenter of Trump's efforts to overturn Biden's election. Not true. Now in the rematch, Georgia will test which man can best assemble a winning coalition despite their respective weaknesses. Each must persuade grumpy voters in places like Fayette County, a suburb south of Atlanta. It's not really affluent, just so you guys know. They're less frightening than the alternative. Trump, the presumptive Republican nominee for the 3rd consecutive time, has been convicted of felony crimes. Which ones? Come on, tell us which ones. Which felony crimes has he been convicted of? Huh? Come on. Come on, AP. Why don't you say it? Why don't you say it? Oh, you can't, can you? And of course, he's awaits sentencing on 3 more criminal trials, including in Atlanta. Well, you've yet to prove any case, so there can't be any sentencing if there's no case been proven. Isn't that true? Oh, I guess you don't even talk about that either. The legal peril could exacerbate his struggles with moderate Republicans and independents, some of whom abandoned him as he helped dismantle the constitutional right to what? That's not true. Just saying, that's not true. That was something that even Ruth Ginsburg wanted to dismantle. She said it was bad law. One of probably the biggest pro and anti-Trump and pro deletion of babies right there, even said it was bad law and it should be removed. It went back to the states. They took that away from government. It got government out of your uteruses, ladies. Now you can choose. Stay in a state that allows that or go to a state that doesn't allow that. It's up to you. Wow, it's amazing whenever they give you agency. The Wicked Wookie, we better talk about how else we're going to take the right precautions. Imagine what happens if 10 Teslas burn in a parking garage beneath a residential building. That's weird, isn't it? Biden, the Democrat incumbent, has presided over an inflationary economy, created an inflationary economy, struggled, created a Middle East war that divides Democrats, and failed to resolve illegal aliens crossing the southern border. Despite what AP and all of the news organizations have started calling illegal immigration. Because they don't want to call them illegals anymore. They want to call them migrants that are not here in the United States legally. Just a short way of saying illegal immigrants or illegals. Or as you like to put it here in the United States, illegal. Good morning to awesome dogs. Morning from storming Michigan. Crazy, 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 crazy. Good to see you, Wanda Stevens. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. He faces potential defections from non-white and younger voters. Wait, non-white? What does that mean? Why don't they say it? Why can't the AP say that he has got a lot of exemplary amounts of Black and Hispanic voters that do not want to vote for him? That also includes younger voters do not want to vote for Joe Biden. Why is it that they don't want to vote for Joe Biden? Well, whenever they see that $15 an hour paycheck that they're getting from McDonald's still doesn't pay the freaking bills. That inflation has gotten out of hand. That you don't give them any agency. That you've taken away everything that they've been working for. One of Georgia's richest counties, Fayette, has housed retirees and Delta Airlines workers seeking homes near the Atlanta's airport. It's also a bastion of Georgia's state-subsidized movie industry. At the Trelith development, a rapidly growing high-end town and movie studios, workers could be overheard discussing the latest Captain America movie being filmed there. Yeah. Like other Atlanta suburbs, the 120,000 resident county has been angling left. Only 120,000 residents in that county? Fayette County is not by far the richest county. But yes, they are moving more of the industry in there for doing movies. Corporate pirates, record profits. In USA and Canada, too much wilderness and undeveloped areas have charger on every corner, and also our grid can't support a total EV conversion. Very true. Of course, they got close in December of 2022 when Ralph Warnock won 49.5% of Fayette's votes, defending Herschel Walker. We do believe that the pathway to the presidency comes right through Fayette County this year, said Joe Clark, chair of the Fayette County Democrat Party and a Fayetteville City Council member. Well, good for them. The Trump campaign in June 13 opened its first Georgia campaign office in Fayetteville. They want to flip our country, warned Brian Jack, a former Trump aide who recently clinched the GOP nomination for a Republican-leaning congressional seat. Statewide Republicans say Georgia is still tilted towards them. Yes, Democrats won statewide 4 times in Georgia, starting with Biden in 2020, continuing as John Ossoff and Warnock swept to twin victories in 21 runoff that clinched the Democrat control of the U.S. Senate, and culminating in Warnock's reelection in 22. But GOP Governor Brian Kemp won a second term as governor in 2022 over Stacey Abrams by a comfortable margin, sweeping down ballot offices along the way. Lauren Groh-Wargo, Abrams' top strategist, said Democrats were slow to engage into Georgia in 2020. Both sides have been spending heavily this year. Of course. This is the first time since the 1990s that Georgia has been top-tier battleground state for presidential on both sides of the aisle from beginning of both campaigns. Both sides have work to do. Many voters, Democrats, Republicans, say they're dispirited by the Biden-Trump rematch. Some say they're not sure what they'll even vote. Well, this right here, AP, is spreading voter disinformation, and you need to stop, because that is not true. They just are not telling you how they're going to vote. So stop spreading your disinformation. These people will be voting, but it is none of your freaking business how they vote. That's how Georgia acts towards your bull squeeze. So stop it. Everyone thinks that Robert Kennedy Jr.'s independent bid is another wild card. Most people do not care. They don't really want to have anything to do with him. Not saying all, I'm saying most. Some said former Republicans, solid Republicans, have taken to splitting their tickets. Okay. You can only vote for one side. Good morning, Rosalind Duke. I need to talk with you. I need to talk with you really soon. I've got ideas. Got some really good ideas. Quentin Folks, he's a Southwest Georgia native who is a Biden principal deputy campaign manager. Well, don't care what he has to say because he is a campaign manager. Some of the voters still want to vote for Republicans or are willing to, but only in the right circumstances. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. And I'm reading through these things, and it's just nothing but bull squeeze. Because this right here, this whole phrase is so racist and takes away all the agency of a Black community. It says that Georgia Democrats are telling Biden, you got to engage with the Black voters. The president has visited routinely, and Vice President Kamala Harris has made 5 trips to Georgia this year. What does that tell you? That tells you they are really worried about Georgia voters, that Georgia voters are seeing what kind of shitstorm that their economy has gone to since they've had Kamala Harris and Biden involved in their day-to-day lives. That they've taken away agency of the Black community, they've taken away agency of the Hispanic community that is strong and thriving in the state of Georgia. And I'm not talking about illegal immigrants, I'm talking about the Hispanic community, which is strong and thrives in this state of Georgia. They do not like being screwed with. and you have screwed with the wrong people. You tell them that they have to accept men chopping their things off and becoming women, that that deleting babies is something that they should be doing, which goes against every fiber of their religious beliefs, that you have to call them Latinx because you're just taking away their agency. You don't realize, Democrats, you created this shitstorm. If you want to get Georgia, stop with your liberal bullshit. I'm not saying that you have to become full on Republican, but if you stop with catering to the people that are crap to you, that will burn your offices down, that will cause all kinds of problems, stop doing that. And I guarantee you, you will get your voters back. The black voters do not like Biden. They've got big issues with him. Because you've mistreated them since slavery. Yes, it was you Democrats. Luckily, the black communities are waking up and going, wow, we were so wrong. Deidre Ellington, a counselor who lives in Fayetteville, calls the choice between Biden and Trump slim pickings. Don't care what you have to say, Deidre, because if that's the way you feel, then you've got issues. You should know who you're going to vote for. Whether you're going to vote for Biden or Trump, it doesn't matter. But you should be pretty solid in your conviction and know why you are voting for those people. If you think that those are slim pickings, then you should have nominated somebody else. But you didn't nominate anybody else. Why didn't the black voters nominate somebody different? Why didn't like the one of the largest voting blocks outside of the white community not vote in somebody different? Why did they not choose to have somebody different? Maybe because it's all already pre-planned. They've already made the decision who they're going to run. My pitch is, are you happy with $4 gallon of gas and $6 for a jar of mayonnaise? If you're not, it's not like that when Trump was It's not like that when Trump was in office. Says Suzanne Brown, a Peachtree City Council member who has canvassed for Republicans this spring. Yeah, that is a pitch. Doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean that it didn't happen because of Trump or start down that path. Just saying. Democrats say they're out organizing Trump, aiming to turn out marginal Democrats to persuade independents and moderate Republicans to back Biden. The campaign has a dozen offices, 75 staffers statewide, including some in Fayetteville. I think that Trump is underestimating the power of organizing. Not so, says Republican National Committee spokesperson. He says the Trump campaign has gone from 0 offices to a dozen since June 13. There's a reason why Democrats have so many offices. Because they spend a lot of money. And that's all that it is. It's greasing the pockets of the local politicians to get their message out. 2024, oh hell no. I would not want to run for political office. That would be a very bad thing because I would be telling a lot of people to go F themselves. Taking a short walk or a long walk off a short pier, those kinds of things. That would get me in all kinds of trouble. You do not want me running for any sort of office. That would be a very, very bad thing. I am not a nice person. As nice as I may seem, I'm really not a nice person. And I have low tolerance for bull squeeze. Oh. But we have more. Oh yes, we have more. This comes from Camel Toe. Everything is at stake for reproductive rights in 2024. So, Camel Toe, let me ask you, how many biological children do you have? I mean, how many children did you give birth to there? Curious. How about this? Camel toe. How many abortions have you had? Serious question. So if you don't want me in your bedroom or me knowing about your reproductive rights, then shut the F up because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. If you're not willing to disclose all of that information, we just don't give two damns about it. Vice President Camel Toe Harris says everything is at stake with its reproductive health rights in November election as the Biden campaign steps up its focus on deleting children. It's the positions taken by Democrat President Joe Biden and Republican Donald Trump on the issue before their debate this week. And you know how much people really care about this? Zero. Like real people do not care. It's down to the states. It has nothing to do with presidential elections. This right here is why the Democrats are so pissed off, because now they can't use it like they used to use it. They were very, very aggressive about using abortion every single year. That's been taken away. Even if they become president, they cannot restore that shit back. The Supreme Court nixed it. They took that away. It is gone. Yes, it is gone. It is gone from federal government. It is not coming back. No matter who you vote for, they can't bring it back. And guess what? They can't take it away again because it is gone already. So it takes that off the debate table as far as presidential elections go. And the Democrats are so salty over it. This is why they keep taking up these positions. There's no contrasting opinion. It's gone. It is out of the federal government's hands. It goes to the states. Guess who controls the states? It's not the president. Harris's comments came as a campaign announced it would hold more than 50 events in battleground states to mark Monday's second anniversary of their decision that overturned the federal it is not a right. It was never a right. Biden and his allies are trying to remind voters that that landmark decision in 2022 was made by a high court that included 3 conservative judges. Again, even Ginsburg said it was bad law. And I will tell you right now, Democrats, as salty as you might think that I am, salty in tunnel vision, as salty as you think I am, here's what you do. You pass legislation. Once you pass the legislation, you can make it a federal law. You can make it a right, if that's what you want to call it. All of those things you can do, but you would have to pass the legislation. And do you know how fast that would destroy your chances of reelection? Is why you won't do it. If you want it passed, pass the legislation, make it a law. If you don't or you can't, then shut the F up about it, because nobody gives 2 diddly squats in the federal government about your tax-paying dollars going for this bullshit. And of course, as they get into this kind of shite again, every person of whatever gender should understand that. No. There's only 2 genders. There's only 2 sexes. If you identify yourself as something, that is a mental illness. Be aware that other freedoms may be at stake. What? Like our right to keep and bear arms, our right for free speech? Those things be taken away? because that's what it appears to me, that you will go harder against me for carrying a firearm than you will for a woman going in for multiple deletions of children. That's how it appears to me. Just saying, camel toe. Trump has taken the credit for Dobbs with a conservative base while stopping short of supporting a ban. Yes, because he does not believe that there should be. He sent it back to states to make that decision. And Trump said he believed the issue should be left to the states. Absolutely. He later stated in an interview that he would not sign a nationwide ban if it were passed by Congress. Exactly. The same way that more than likely President Joe Biden would never sign a nationwide allowing of it. It's horrible. It's abhorrent. Democrats used to believe that it was few, safe, and private. It wasn't something that women bragged about doing because there was a bit of shame that went along with it because the reason why they were doing something like that. Now they've turned it into birth control. They've turned it into basically no different than slipping a condom on because they don't want to ask the guy to slip a condom on or take the pill. I don't know what the reason is, but you got knocked up. It sucks, but it shouldn't be birth control. It shouldn't be used as a prophylactic. That's all that the Democrats, that's how the Democrats used to believe. I don't know when this big switch happened where they decided they wanted to just kill off all kinds of children. Sorry. At a campaign event on Saturday, Trump said his administration did something that was amazing with Dobbs. Yeah. Every voter has to go with your heart and do what's right, but we also have to get elected. Biden has begun private preparations at Camp David. Why would he do that Thursday night? Well, he's got to get rested up and put on new makeup. Got to get pumped up with the juice. Owensboro, Kentucky. Who cares about Owensboro, Kentucky? Really? Honestly? Told her first story publicly last fall in a campaign ad during the governor's race in home state, discovering the consequences of restriction. Here is the thing. This is the lie that they're telling you, because they're talking, there is not a single one that I know of. Now, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. There are exceptions for rape and incest. Almost every single state. If the life of the mother is at risk, they will do this. They don't have it written in law. It's just one of those where, like, yeah, why would we prosecute for something like that? I don't know, because there could be some that they're like, no, even in those instances of rape and incest. Now, the thing is you would have to prove that. Maybe that's where they're running into a problem. He thinks we can be ignored, Biden said of Trump. He doesn't know what or when our bodies are on the line, when our daughters' futures are at stake. We're immovable and we are unstoppable, says the Catholic. Says the practicing Catholic. Duvall's home state of Kentucky has enacted a near total, not a total, but near total, following the Dobbs decision. The state bans, except when to carry it out to save a mother's life. It does not include exceptions for those. I would have to read the law, but that is a very big possibility that it says you can't just come in and claim it. You're going to have to prove it. I don't know. I would have to see what the law is. Wait, didn't Dementia Joey say he would hold Dems in his administration is to be respectful at all times, yet he has resorted to name calling the Republican voters? Yep. I would like to ask him, what's so beautiful about telling your 12-year-old girl that she must have a baby over? That is, I know of no state that would say that. This is a lie. Do not believe them. And if you don't like your state and it has that kind of crap, then leave the state or change the law in the state. Much easier to get it changed in the state than it is to get changed out of the state or make the federal government responsible for your killing of children. Of course, we got Warren, who was heading to Wisconsin on behalf of the Biden campaign with Amanda. Oh, yeah. Token. Texas woman who was denied after being told she had a condition that meant her baby would not survive. Okay. Zerwaski was forced to wait until she was diagnosed with a life-threatening case of sepsis before being provided this. There's a woman who is in that protected. See, all these are like the very rare cases. So, question for you, all of you wonderful, wonderful liberals like Kamala, Duvall, Miss Zaraski, Elizabeth Warren. Here's the question for you. So, we take all of those fine people, put them together, and we say, hey, on a federal level, on a state level, on a local government level, we will provide abortions to those that can prove rape and incest or the life of the mother. All of those. We allow those. We allow those abortions to happen. Would that still stop you? Would you still continue to have abortions just because the child isn't wanted? We allow those three exceptions. You've got those three exceptions. Are you still going to continue with your fight? Nationwide, those three exceptions. Not because, Pookie was slamming like 3 different chicks at the same time and got all 3 of them pregnant. And now they run down to the clinic to go do that. Huh? So are we going to allow that? Would you lay off of it then? The answer to that is no, they wouldn't. Oh yeah. There's a thing that they that somebody showed me on the what the hell was it? I think it was on Twitter. I saw it's hilarious, and it's like an old like South Park or something like that thing. Close this, and leave that one open. I'm waiting for things to happen here. My computer be acting slow because it has nothing to do with the computer, just the browser. It's crappy. It is amazing to me. Let's see. Just great. Oh, I love it. I'll tell you what. Oh, I will. After if you're able to, and I will there we go. There we go. Check your Twitter there, Rosalind. So what I'm going to pull up here is, I believe, the Twitter's thing. There's a bookmark here. I wanted to show. I've got it. It's pretty damn hilarious. Let me see. It's this one right here. I'm pretty sure this sort of explains my outlook on a lot of this right here. There we go. Second. And share. There we go. I bet it took a while for you guys to get that, didn't it? Oh. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh, that made me laugh. That made me laugh. Oh. Oh. What in the hell? Weird. Don't know. Showing that. Not showing that. There's certain things that you can show on the YouTube, and I am not going to show some of these. Ooh, it's crazy. Crazy. All right. This one I can show because I think it's pretty hilarious. And you guys were talking about it a minute ago. So here we go.
3 minutes at the gas station. It just doesn't make sense to buy a gas car anymore at all.
I knew you guys would like that one. No, there were F-bombs used in Judge Simpson's courtroom yesterday. Wow, I may have to pull that one up because that sounds pretty interesting. Let's see. Judge Simpson. Let's see. Judge Simpson. It is no, it would have been yesterday. I don't see it. I only see one from yesterday. But we'll watch it again. It'll be later on. It will be later on. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of that kind of stuff that happens. But yeah, I didn't see it. I have very limited bandwidth. Oh my God, do I have limited bandwidth? It's so beautiful. There is a good thing about being slightly stupid as I am, and that's because I spend so much time working. I spend so much time working that I have very little time to watch hardly anything or even participate in a lot of stuff because I do this stuff quite a bit. That being said, wonder who wrote the book of love. Let's see. Sorry about that. So we've got this happening right here. And save that. And just let me do a couple of things here. Oh, let's see. Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. I was going to talk about this. Oh. This is hilarious. I've got to share this with you guys because I thought this was funny. This week's televised debate is crucial for Biden and Trump and for CNN as well. Why would it be crucial for CNN? Because Jake Tapper and Dana Bash from CNN will be on camera too, and there's a lot on the line for their network as it fights for relevance in a changing media environment. Type in F-bombs. In your band with a narrow, getting bigger stage, you can find more pickers. Push those storms over to me where you're done with them, Heidi. I want my internet to go down so I won't have to work. Oh, that would be glorious. Some storms here in Georgia would be nice just to get some nice heavy rains for a little bit. We got some at the beginning of the year, more rain than we needed, and now we're not getting enough. And my wife is having to water those plants on a daily basis out there because the thing is sucking up all of the moisture. CNN has hosted dozens of town halls, turned political political forums through the years, but never a general election presidential debate, let alone one so early in a campaign. No network has. This is a huge moment for CNN, said former CNN Washington Bureau Chief Frank says no. CNN, you've become more and more irrelevant because you can't stop lying and propagating propaganda. CNN, if you want better ratings, stop sucking balls. Stop doing the bidding of the liberals. If you want more relevance, CNN, start doing honest reporting. Report the whole story. Tell us the whole story. Don't put a spin on it. Just tell us the story. That's all people want, is the whole story. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, all of you assholes, report the story. Stop putting a spin on it. Stop lying to the people. We've seen how you do it. We have lifted the mask off of mainstream media. We have made you irrelevant. Sucks, but stop lying to the people. If you want to maintain relevancy, if you want people to tune in and watch you, stop lying to them. Because most of these people are boomering out. What I mean is they're tuning you out. The only people that you're getting are the older generation that is so concerned over their retirement that they don't really give two craps about the truth. If you really want the truth that's coming out there, there's thousands of reporters out there. They're independent, they're private, they call you out on your bullshit on a daily basis. If you want to maintain relevance, CNN, if you want to maintain relevance, Fox News, MSNBC, CNBC, all of you damn idiots out there, stop lying to the people whenever they can see for themselves what happened. AP, if you want to remain relevant, start by getting rid of these people that make up a bullshit stories to fit their narrative. Then you might have a chance at some sort of relevance. Until then, you're going to get continually lambasted for your BS. Many consumers are cutting cable. Yes. Why wouldn't they? But CNN, if you gave good news, they would keep you relevant. They would watch you on YouTube, which if you're cutting the cable, you probably are getting YouTube TV, and you could watch your bullshit news there. But people aren't even tuning in there. What happened with your once hero, Don Lemon, or whatever his name is? Oh yeah, they didn't tune into him. So he went over to X. And guess what? He thought he was going to get a deal with X, and they just totally were like, yeah, you just went after the CEO over things. He said, I'm not talking about that. And you continued on. And you said, you know what? If this is the attitude this guy's going to have, just let him go. Let him do his thing. I'm not going to stop him, but I'm not signing off on this crap. That's what happened with Don Lemon. CNN's chairman, CEO Mark Thompson has been with the company for less than a year. Oh, sucks to be you. Looking hard for more viewers? Well, tough titty. Because you'll get a boosted ratings, and guess what? Other than that, your relevance is gone. They don't care. Networks had agreed to CNN rules. They must keep CNN's insignia on screen and can't interrupt with their own commenters while the debate airs. Hear that? And let other networks carry the debate feed. ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, MSNBC, PBS, and C-SPAN will all do so. The other networks also have the right to sell their own ad time during the 2 commercial breaks. The networks had to agree to CNN's rules. They must keep that insignia on. How fast do you think anybody covering this, anybody at all covering this, think about it, anyone covering this isn't going to have their channel blocked down? I'm betting on it. I am betting on it. Do you know why? Because that's what CNN's going to do. They've got a hold of YouTube. They've got their fingers in the pot. I'm telling you, anybody that's covering this, have a backup, because CNN is going to block you. Have your backup. Have it ready. Have it good to go. CNN's going to block it. CNN is going to shut down anybody that shows it live or comments on it live. I'm placing my bets right now. Placing my bets right now. How many big streamers are you going to see that are doing this? I'm small potatoes. How many big streamers do you think that are going to be showing the CNN live that are going to have it shut down? Talking about people like Crowder or any other news channel that covers the debates. Yep. Yep. Louder with Crowder will be doing it with people on scene for debate and election for YouTube or Rumble once they are kicked from YouTube. Exactly. But they've got it set up because they will have it brought down. I guarantee that CNN will bring it down because they do not want you to watch this live. They want you to see what they feed you. Will CNN offer a fair forum? No. Trump said that he would be debating 3 people instead of 1, even through his campaign, agreed in advance to the rules and moderators. Well, yeah. Because that's all the choice that they gave him. Now, these channels will be shut down. Don't you doubt it whatsoever. I will do something here real quick. Give me just a second. I will need to do something so that way set up. It is, where is it? Because I'm an idiot when it comes to this stuff. And I will let her know. For it after just to give you some there we go. All right. And with this BS that's come out, because that's really all that it is everybody talking about this. The stakes are highest for Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Well, no shit, because they're the only ones that matter. CNN, what's started by Ted Turner, who married G.I. Jane, a socialist? No, communist. Get it right. Get it right. She was never a socialist. She was diehard communist. Just saying. Never was she socialist. Oh, she liked to claim socialist. Mm-hmm. No. If you don't understand what Hanoi Jane is all about, well, just look up the name. You'll understand. And you'll probably find a bunch of false news stories because, well, whenever you run one of the major newscasting stories and your wife is called a communist, you might want to change the story. Just saying. And with that, all you fine folks, I've got a date with a lovely young lady here in a bit, and it's not my wife. It is. It actually, I do have a date with somebody to talk about a few things, so that'll be really cool. And I'm looking forward to that conversation because I think it'll be really good. We're gonna have a blast with this. But I do want to say to everybody, make sure you go give the wonderful Mo love she deserves. See you soon.
Now I gotta call somebody to come get me because my car has turned into a spaceship and I don't know how to fly it. I'm not an astronaut.